This is page 2, and I will continue the subject, who or what is the God that America petitions for blessings? On America's paper currency, it reads, "In God We Trust." One of her most patriotic songs is entitled, "God Bless America." When she engages in battle, her troops are sent off in a herald of God Bless America. When crises arise, she invokes, "God Bless America." Who is this God that answers to her every beak and call? This God was there when the immigrants crossed over from the Atlantic and the Pacific. This God was there to handicap the British, dumbfound the Native Americans, and stupefied the African slave. This God has reduced all opponents to defeat and subjection to America's will. The latest word is that this God is currently killing Afghans while searching for bin Laden. When this God is blessing America, is this God blessing you as well? Some people knew better. They thought when America did wrong to other people, it was fine because they would share in the spoils. They learned that their kind did not share in the spoils. The blessing of God to America became a curse to these people. Some are now beginning to see this truth in the fact of losing their lives savings, or should I say their life savings and 401k to business scams. You can see as your schools are losing funding and tuition is increasing, Social Security decreasing, big business taking American jobs overseas for cheap labor. Some people are so depressed and hopeless until you're threatened to walk down the street or drive with your vehicle's window down for fear of terroristic acts that you might experience. Truth is, God Bless America is a rallying cry to draw all people to the same page, that America is going to act as she wants by any means necessary to accomplish her ends, and it would take a God to stop her. Since America has an advantage over most nations or power, law and control over her citizens, she will be successful in her objectives. This way, people and the general public ought to think God helped and blessed America. All a result of misinformation, lies, and deceit. They are to accept this as truth and fall in line. Third topic, is free market enterprise really free or better? This system has made billions, availing all that money can buy and more besides. It has brought this nation supreme status, made it the envy of the world. It has created some hate mongers as well. Nonetheless, though many suffer from the expressions thereof, they choose to live under it rather than another. A free market enterprise is the business of a person or company making and selling things, which prices are controlled by supply and demand as contrasted with government control. Anyone with an idea of goods and services can develop and produce it, bring it to the market, make it or break it. This is one of the highlights of American capitalist democracy. Tens of millions have done so. Many are wealthy. As a result, some are just getting by and still others are folding. Hundreds of millions are in some capacity as employees in these companies. Other millions are employees of the government. Oftentimes, a maneuver can be employed called a monopoly that would work to eliminate competition, make the playing field smaller, giving the survivors more say in supply and demand. When this happens, the monopolist gets more voice in the price. An example of this strategy is the oil industry. Phasing some out and the demand remaining the same or greater, the price is the choice of the seller within some guidelines limited by government, which might be devised. This free market extends itself across all boundaries of life. It touches housing, education, healthcare, employment, travel, and entertainment. In America, there are many negative effects. In order to receive many of these goods and services, we as people seem to think we can't live without many, have to work extended hours and overtime. Some have to work 2 jobs. Others are without housing, limited education, no health care or limited amounts, poor or no dental. To add to these problems, there's a breakdown in family structure and participation. This breakdown causes an environment conducive for gang involvement, early pregnancy, child prostitution, and pornography. It fosters stealing, robbery, prisons without rehabilitation programs, jails serving unhealthy food, prisoners used as slave labor, white-collar crimes, e.g. Enron, terrorism from nations and people who feel that their policies that grow out of such free market ambition causes them much pain and suffering. Another horrible result of this system is that it destroys the dreams and aspirations of many a citizen who turn to drugs as a recourse. This fuels a drug market that promotes its own barrel of troubles. Out of 300 million people, only about 1% reap the benefits and lifestyle we all desire. Only about 10% do okay, 40% living from paycheck to paycheck, and another 40% are robbing Peter to pay Paul, and the rest are homeless, or jobless, broke, hungry, and in prison. When you step back and look at the big picture, the only ones in love with the system are the 1% and the 10%. They are in love with the outcome and they own everything. They tell the rest of the people through their media, televisions, radio, and newspapers that all Americans are blessed, better off than any other country in the world. They also say that the nation is not doing badly at all. They continue a campaign of deceit and lies to maintain the status quo. All of these negative outcomes are the real price for the free market. Do you think it's worth the price? The top 11% does. Whom can the masses turn to? Whom can they trust? In fact, who gives a damn about them? You can't believe there is a God who cares. The spokesmen for God are too busy misleading the blind in an effort to establish their personal importance according to the standards of the free market. They want the power and prestige of a large following and the income for a prosperous life. Yet, like the brilliance of the sun on a hot sunny day, the voice of justice and retribution shatters in the hearts and minds of all whose dreams lie dormant in a distant tomorrow, calling, awake, awake. You got the power to make things right. You have exactly everything it takes, and you are the one. The free market is a corrupted system designed for that 1 and 10% of the back on the back of the 89% known as toilets to the elite. What do you do about it? Just think about it right now. You and your family and friends, think about it. The move to make will come to you after contemplation. Next subject, 40 million Americans, no health care. In the most economically prosperous country, where the rules and conditions that exist do so of the people, by the people, and for the people, indicating that for 40 million Americans, there's a malignant social cancer that has been deserted. It has been ignored by the medical community, who apparently feel that the Hippocratic oath to help the sick above all else have some limitations. Abandoned by the politicians who feel that there are many more important issues that require their attention. Ignored by the voters who have said that the problem does not affect them. Save the issue for another day. Abandoned by the uninsured who feel they have no power and are hopeless. Lastly, they are abandoned by the God of their faith and ignored of their prayers. Is this the best you require of your system, of yourselves? 40 million uninsured exist due to the participation from all the aforementioned groups, some more than others, perhaps, but nonetheless acquiescence by all to the extent of inadequate health care. People, fallible as they are, can be understood for falling short of the mark of par excellence. But what about the God that puts up with the imperfection? How is it that God to be viewed by each of these participants, especially the uninsured, those denied adequate health care, those who die? The greatest medical arrangement would be for each individual to have available to him or her this care. So why does this inadequacy exist? Why does the majority of we the people impose these devastations on the minority? 40 million? Can there be a deal between the fallible people and their inconsiderate God?